Hey everyone, so today we're going to look at simplifying algebraic expression. So you need your notebook, a calculator, and a pencil for today's lesson. So if you look at the two definitions I have, there's term and like term. A term is a number, variable, or product of a number and one or more variables. Like terms we've talked about in class are terms that have exactly the same variable factors. So here you'll notice there's 1, 2, 3, 4 terms, and positive 4y and positive 7y are like terms. So like terms are terms that have the same variable factors, and I just gave you some examples. 12x and 3x are like terms. 5ab squared and 4ab squared are like terms. The number that's in front of the term of variable is the coefficient. So 12 is a coefficient, 5 is a coefficient, 3 is a coefficient, 5 plus 2 is a coefficient, and I also want you to put down a negative x. This is a coefficient. This would be negative 1. So here's more examples of like terms. Shows you what like terms are and what like terms aren't. So combining like terms. We talked about this when we looked at our menu math in class last week. On Friday, we talked about how we could combine cheeseburgers and hamburgers because they were the same thing. Well, here it's the same thing. We can combine our variable m with other m's because they're the same letter. So I have 3 terms on the board. 5m, a positive 9m, and a positive m. Since they're all the same, I can combine. So positive 5m plus 9m plus m would be 15m. So this would be our simplified expression. Here we have, again, 3 terms. 2t, we have 2t, a positive t, and a negative 17t. Notice I am looking at the sign in front of the term. So 2t plus 1t is 3t, and then we're going to combine that with the negative 17t. So 3 minus 17 to get a negative 14t. You can use your calculator or a variable rules, and when we have 3 minus 17, because we're combining, so keep, flip, change, and we got a negative 14. So here I have 5x and a positive 2x, and I have a positive 9 and a negative 4. So I'm going to first combine my x's. So a positive 5x plus a positive 2x is 7x. Positive 9 minus 4 is a positive 5. Notice I'm using the sign as my addition and as my positive, and that's how I'll know what sign to use. So here I have 10r minus 5 plus 3 plus r. So again, I have a 10r and a positive r, and then I have a negative 5 and a positive 3. So 10r plus 1r is 11r, a negative 5 plus 3 is a negative 2. So I'm going to use my sign as my negative and as my subtraction. Go ahead and try these on your own. Decimals are the same thing. You can combine like terms, but they're just a decimal. So if you'll notice, I have 6 and 1, and a positive 7 and 2/10 y, and a negative 4 and 2/10 y. So 7 and 2/10 minus 4 and 2/10 is going to give me 3, and a 6 plus 1 is a positive 7. 2x and 4x to give me positive 6x. A positive 8 minus 5 is a positive 3. So here it says Garrick buys 5 loaves of bread and 8 cans of tuna for a picnic. Tanya buys a loaf of bread and 2 cans of tuna. Define and use variables to represent the total cost. So we know we have, first want to go through and see what we have. So we have 5 loaves of bread and 1 loaf of bread. We have 8 cans of tuna and 2 cans of tuna. So I can represent this 5 loaves, we'll put 5b plus 1 loaf of bread plus 8 cans of tuna, so 8t plus 2t. So I can combine like terms. 5b plus 1b is 6b, and 8t plus 2t is 10t. I always want to define my variables. So B stands for a loaf of bread. Loaf of bread. And T stands for cans of tuna. So I wrote out my expression and then I combined my like terms. In one trip to a hardware store, you buy 16 boards, 2 boxes of nails, and a hammer. On a second trip, you buy 10 more boards and a box of nails. Define and use variables to represent the total cost. So just like we did before, write out our expression and then simplify. So I had 16 boards plus 2 boxes of nails plus 1 hammer plus 10 boards and 1 box of nails. B equals boards, N equals nails, H equals hammer. So I combine like terms to get 26 boards plus 3 nails plus 1 hammer. It is so important that you define your variables so someone else can understand what you're talking about. So here it says Carlos buys 6 tubes of paint and 3 pieces of fabric to make an art project. Shauna buys 8 tubes of paint and 1 piece of fabric. Again, define the variables and represent how we'd find the total cost. So we have 6 tubes of paint plus 3 pieces of fabric plus 8 tubes of paint plus 1 piece of fabric. P equals paint, F equals fabric, so you get 14P plus 4F. If you're using different variables, that's fine. You just need to make sure you define your variables. So distributing and simplifying. When we distribute, we're giving a number to all the other terms. So I want to distribute on what's on the outside of the parentheses. So I'm going to distribute the 4 to the positive t and the 4 to the negative 9. So 4 times t is 4t. 4 times the negative 9 is a negative 36. And again, I'm going to use my negative sign as my subtraction. Distributed the 4 times t to get 4t. 4 times negative 9 to get negative 36. So let's look at this one. I have a negative 6. I'm going to give it to this term. And then I'm going to give it to this term. So negative 6 times x, which is a negative 6x. A negative 6 times a negative 3. 2 negatives gives me a positive 18. So I'm going to use that positive 18 as my plus sign and to let me know it's positive. Here, put a star next to this. Even though there's a negative sign, we know there's an imaginary negative 1. So I'm going to distribute the negative 1 to the 3x and the negative 1 to the negative 3. So negative 1 times a positive 3x is a negative 3x. A negative 1 times a negative 3 is a positive 3. Here I have a term and then another term. So I'm going to bring down my 8 and 5/10 c, and I'm going to distribute this negative 3 to the terms within the parentheses. So negative 3 times c is a negative 3c. Negative 3 times 5 is a negative 15. Then I'm going to go ahead and combine like terms. So you always distribute and then you combine like terms. So 8 and 5/10 minus 3 is 5 and 5/10 c. And I bring down my negative 15. You only distribute the sign that's in front of the parentheses. So I had to bring this down first. So you always distribute and then combine like terms. So let's look at this one. Again, bring down the 11, distribute the negative 2 to both terms. So a negative 2 times 3 and 4/10, you're going to get a negative 6 and 8/10 b, and a negative 2 times a positive 1 is a negative 2. So 11 minus 2, you're going to get a positive 9, and we can't combine our negative 6 and 8/10 b. Now we have a term on the other side, so we have to look. First we're going to distribute, always the number on the outside, so negative 8m, then a negative times a positive is a negative 16, and I'm going to bring down my term at the end. Now again, I'm going to combine like terms. So negative 8 minus 1 and 9/10 going to give us a negative 9 and 9/10 m, because we're combining our like terms, and then minus 16 because we can't combine anything. Go ahead and try these two on your own. So for this one, you should have brought down the 3, distributed the negative 5 to the a to get negative 5a. Negative 5 times a negative 4 is a positive 20. Combine 3 and 20 to get 23, and then bring down your negative 5a. Here you distribute negative 5 times a positive 2x to get a negative 10x. Negative 5 times a positive 5 is negative 25. Bring down your negative 3x. Negative 10x plus a negative 3x is negative 13x, and then bring down your negative 25. That's it for this lesson. So you want to go back, take any notes, or rewrite anything you need to. You're going to then go to the Google Docs form. The link is attached to this video, or you can go back to the 7th grade website or our Edmodo page and take the quiz. I will see you tomorrow.